Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Terrifying Tuesday, and I wanted to talk about some Scream theories that I have based on the information that's come out. So let's jump right into it. So I've been thinking a lot about Scream 7 and how it could be different from all the previous Scream movies we've seen, and I have a couple thoughts on this. My first thought is a bit controversial because what if the movie is about Sidney, but Sidney isn't the target of Ghostface? What if, in fact, the Ghostface killer in the movie is after Gal Weathers? Gal Weathers could be visiting Sidney Prescott. The killer could follow her to mask the entire thing and make it seem as though he is going after Sidney Prescott when he is in fact going after her. And the reason I say this is because if Sidney Prescott is living the quiet life and Gal Weathers doesn't live where Sidney Prescott lives, then that stands to reason something. It stands to reason why would Gal Weathers then be called back to help Sidney Prescott face a ghost face again? That kind of, to me, isn't really all that well put together, only for the simple fact that it seems like Sidney Prescott would call her friend just to have her come into danger. The other alternative is that they could be just sending Gal Weathers there randomly for no apparent reason. Now, therein lays a problem, because if you're doing that, then you kind of have to make it so that it's logical. Sidney wouldn't just call Gal Weathers, or maybe she would. Maybe that's going to be the scenario they put forth for us. Maybe that's what they're going to do. Sidney Prescott will be talking to Gal Weathers and tell her that a new ghost face has come around. Then Gal Weathers, feeling obligated to help her enemy turned friend, will jump on the first plane and go to where Sidney Prescott lives to help her stop a ghost face. And that's completely plausible. But what if it's not Sidney? Who else could it be? Depending upon how old they actually make her kids, it could change everything. But I don't think her kids are going to be old enough to take over the franchise just yet. So then it got me to thinking, what is her husband doing? What is Kincaid doing during this time? Maybe we set forth this scenario in which Kincaid has been exploring some crimes or something. And to cover up these crimes, maybe someone sends a ghost face killer after him and makes it look like it is coming after Sidney Prescott. I mean, really, the sky is the limit as to how they could handle this. Maybe a neighbor of Sidney Prescott's, a friend of hers, maybe her nanny, someone that is close to her is actually the target, and Sidney Prescott would figure it out about halfway through the movie that she's not the intended target. In fact, what would be really great and clever to do is if Ghostface would be on the phone to Sidney and say, "Why do you keep doing this to me?" And he would say something to her like, "Not everything's about you, Sidney." And that would be so great. It would be different from anything they've ever done before, other than when we followed the Carpenter sisters. But if we were to kind of take a step back and let Sidney play the role of someone who helps out in this scenario, I think we're looking at a movie that could work on so many levels. I think that we could be seeing something that would be fun for fans and very different. And in fact, it would allow you to go this older cast without bringing back someone like Stu Macher. Now, if they do bring back Stu Macher, of course I'm there for it. Who isn't? After all, Stu Macher said, "It's all about the sequel, baby," and we never got to see him do a sequel. So I want Stu Macher's sequel. Let's get it done, all right? But no, seriously, if they don't bring back Stu Macher, then what other alternatives do they really have? They have to make sure to be able to move forward. And I've always said there's always that chance that Sidney dies, because Sidney isn't going to be able to be the final girl forever and ever. I kind of get the feeling from Neve Campbell that she doesn't want to be there forever. She doesn't want to keep coming back just for money and all this. not like Jamie Lee Curtis, who has grown to actually despise the character that she played. Jamie Lee Curtis admits that she never really wanted to play Laurie Strode in the sequels. She never wanted to come back in this whole new era of movies. The only thing that brought her back was the fact that she was promised that she could kill Michael Myers. And this happened both times that she was brought back. They promised her she could kill Michael Myers, and then this one they actually delivered. Now, it's hated by fans, and it's hated by fans rightfully for that reason. As good as you may think the movies are, or as bad as you may think the movies are, everyone's definitive answer is that Michael Myers should be alive to come at everyone again. And that's why updating and making sure that the movie gets rebooted is something that now has to happen. Because fans want Michael Myers to be Michael Myers, and they want it to happen for the right reasons. They want it to happen because Michael Myers is iconic and his movies are fun. And Ghostface is iconic. Even though Ghostface is a different person in every single movie that they are in, it still doesn't take away from the fact that we have grown accustomed to these masks. We have grown accustomed to the murders being used to hide the revenge or the plot or whatever they choose to make their murders about. We have grown accustomed to seeing it. And just the fact that I don't think that Neve Campbell wants to be back for every single movie, but it seems like she does like the character enough to make a couple of appearances here and there. If this movie is her trilogy, this could set up something where it's not always about Sidney. Maybe it is about Gale Weathers. Maybe it is about Kincaid. Maybe it's about her nanny or her friend or this or that. Sidney doesn't have to be the main source of the killer's rage in order to still be the final girl we need her to be. It also helps to set up the scenario of, would she save these people? Would she be able to save them or not? Because ultimately, we don't know if Sidney Prescott is going to be able to save all the people that Ghostface is going after. And in this scenario, she could fail to save them, but she would still be the target because the Ghostface that is after these people would still have to do some sort of cleanup. They would still have to go after her in order to make sure that no one is around to say what their identity was. So therefore, they do have to go after her eventually. And this makes it so that she could continue to be the final girl without the motive always having to be about her. I do think that with this older cast, we could see something like that kind of happen. I think it would be a riot to watch someone else be the victim, be the cause, be the reason Ghostface is out there right now. And it would also kind of lead into other things. Now, I also know that there is the cult of Ghostface, and we have to also entertain the cult of Ghostface as a motive, because the cult of Ghostface is the same type of scenario I'm talking about. They may always be going after Sidney Prescott, and that would not work. That wouldn't work in the long run. Sidney Prescott always being the person that they're going after isn't the answer. And the cult of Ghostface would allow people to use Ghostface to actually turn around and commit their own murders. And that's kind of what I think this movie may be setting up. With its older cast and everything like that, I think it would be very cool to see. And then there also could be returning people too. We could see people like Kirby return to actually help out. We could see Kirby come back and actually make an impact in a future movie as well. Maybe even fight alongside Sidney in a situation where Gale Weathers isn't available to come and help her. She calls Kirby instead. They could set up this thing where they are able to go and be part of the plot and continue on. And the cult of Ghostface is a very good situation for that. So that's my thoughts. Either it's got to stop being about Sidney and be about people that are around her and they're using the Ghostface because they know that these people know Sidney, or this could be an entirely different thing. They could use this to set up the cult of Ghostface just like was originally planned for movie 3 and, you know, for Scream 3. And we got to see none of that because real life events took that away from the viewers. But setting that up very early on the way they planned to would have changed the face of Scream forever. Maybe they are actually taking an option to course correct that and say, hey, if we bring in the cult of Ghostface, we could literally have the killer be anywhere at any time. And maybe if we keep Sidney and Kirby and Gal Weathers alive, maybe they could actually be part of the solution and help people out in this regard. This would also appease the fans who love Sidney Prescott and all those characters and want them to continue, but it would also at the same time give Ghostface a reason to be anywhere. And I think that's a pretty good situation if it gives Ghostface a reason to be anywhere. As always, we want to know what you guys think. Make sure you're leaving us a comment in the comment box letting us know what you think. Make sure that you share this video with all of your friends. They're going to want to be a part of the conversation as well. Don't forget to hit that like button. It's free. It helps the channel. We appreciate it. Miko says we need more subscribers, and look at this face. You don't want to disappoint Miko, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell while you're down there so you don't miss a single video we do. And then friends, at the end of the day, I know it, you know it, and Miko knows it. Fandom is family.